Hey everyone, this is Matt Waldman with the Rookie Scouting Portfolio. Got a really nice response to the Marcus Mariota RSP Film Room number 25. The only problem that we had is that about early in the second quarter on through the rest of the end of the game, the sound cut out, went on vacation. So I'm going to go ahead and re-record this section of this game, and you can watch it at the blog post that I'm going to have available at the RSP blog. It's just going to be posted right below. You can also find this on the RSP Film Room so that you can actually see the meat of the analysis from the second quarter on. Where we left off, it was actually a 2nd-and-1 play with about 13 minutes left in the half. And one of the things that I was talking about here is how the Oregon offense is very good at being able to use a play that's successful or create a successful play and then build on that successful play by doing something that the play before did well, but adding a wrinkle that confuses the defense because it baits them into trying to stop what was successful earlier on. This is a particular play. It's a short run, and we're gonna let me go ahead and turn down the sound. You see the you see basically one of these common plays where first you're seeing earlier in the game a lot of throwouts to the wide receivers outside. Then you see them adding the wrinkle of the running back going outside and throwing to the running back and making this a short run off of a throw. And then they take that and fake the run or fake the throw with a look to the running back, and then it's just moving up the scene here for the first down. So it's a nice little play, works out fairly well. It's more of an offensive type of it's more of a part of the scheme here with Mariota. And that's one of the questions that's been asked about him a lot, is whether or not he's benefiting a lot from the scheme, or is he truly an NFL prospect? And I say the answer is a combination of both. He is truly an NFL prospect, but he's not an elite prospect in my eyes, at least from what I'm seeing thus far. Some of that has to do with what he hasn't been able to show in this scheme, and he'll have to prove that he can do in workouts, as well as if he did show up at the combine and throw, which right now he's saying he's not going to throw. Here we go with another 2x2 set. You're going to see a read option fake here. He's looking up the seam. You have pressure coming up the middle, and watch him slide. This is one of the things that he does very well in terms of being able to avoid pressure and be mobile. I would like to see him do something a little bit more here where he can be a little bit more economical with his steps, but not in this particular play. This play, the pressure's coming pretty fast. He has to run up the field to look and be able to reset his feet fast and see if he can find somebody downfield. He doesn't at this stage, but he has enough of a good clock and understanding of how pressure is progressing within the pocket to see this man up the middle coming free and then slide across this pocket and make a very nice NFL type of play to buy time, first sliding to the left, moving across to the right, and then flicking the ball about 24 yards down the field to a wide open receiver on a comeback at the sideline, doing a great job of making a pinpoint throw to the boundary. This is one of the things that Marcus Mariota does well when it comes to accuracy, is making the pinpoint throw at the boundary, whether it's a fade route or it's this type of sideline out or comeback. This is a better catch than a throw, but you can see here that he does a very fine job of buying time and making a nice play. Now, one of the things that I have concerns about with Mariota, and I think I mentioned this earlier in the last episode, but just in case I didn't and the sound cut out, the longer Mariota buys time, the more concerns I have with him being too invested in a play and not throwing the ball out of bounds. I do like that he slid, cuts across here, and as long as he's finding easy makeable plays where the downside is just an incomplete pass, like right here, that's perfect. But when you start to get into throwing the ball in the middle of the field like he did earlier in this game and creating interception opportunities, turnover opportunities, that's when he needs to learn to dial it back a bit. But this is a very nice play. All right, so now we're going to have another trip set, which you would think would tip off that there's probably going to be a throw out here. And once again, quick implied play fake. You have the receiver waiting on the ball, Once again, nice placement to the front shoulder, which gives him a chance to turn very fast and weave through the defense here. Earn a 9-yard gain. Now these gains that were once, losses for short losses or short gains are now turning into larger chunk plays, as what you would look at as maybe even what a power running game would do up the middle. That's mimicking the same type of thing in terms of gains getting bigger and bigger as this team starts to put a foot down in terms of using its offense and establishing a footprint with its offense. You're going to see double A gap pressure showing up pre-snap in terms of a look with this 3-3-5. Now they're going to send the running back in motion, lots of motion, quick throw or quick pump fake. That quick pump fake was probably to the back here. It does force this outside defender to peel outside and honor that particular pump fake. Now, again, we only saw one pump fake with one arm, and that was earlier in the game on a screen pass. You're going to see a lot more of these two-handed pump fakes, which is an indication probably that his hand size might not be all that great, or he's just not completely comfortable with being able to issue one-arm pump fakes that are really hard. But I like the fact that he does this. This is something that we've seen, when you talk about the upside of a player like Mark Sanchez, he did this a lot at USC. The ability to work well with movement, to manipulate defenses early in the play design, and there you saw a little pump fake, and now you're going to see the rollout here. And he's going to look downfield to see if he can find anything. He's directing his coverage, but this is where probably Sanchez and Mariota in a bad way have something in common, or even Nick Foles has something bad in common, which is trying to make too much of a play. You see the beginning, you see him rolling out, you see him directing coverage, that little bit of a motion with his hand, but now he's going to try and throw the ball across his body and just loft it into the air, and the pass is nearly intercepted inside the 5. If not for just a bad pair of hands on this particular play, this could have ended the drive and cost them points. And it was really, this is probably one of the worst plays that I've seen him make in this game. But we've seen him try and throw the ball in the middle of the field and get too invested in plays like this. And really, he needs to learn how to stop that and become a little bit more mature. I don't know if it's going to happen, honestly. We see quarterbacks oftentimes continue to show this tendency. Michael Vick has shown the tendency repeatedly. We've seen Nick Foles show this tendency on a repeated basis. Brett Favre, Matt Stafford, Jay Cutler. Oftentimes you see guys get a little too reckless and too confident in their mobility in their arm to buy time, and then feel like because they bought this time, they somehow have to make a play, rather than understanding that making a good play is just throwing the ball away. So here we are inside the 15. We're going to see a little bit of end around action here, along with a read option fake. Quick throw out to the tight end. Nice job getting the ball over the edge man, but he has to throw it out of bounds. In this case, I like that he throws it out of bounds here. I wouldn't have minded him maybe using a pump fake here, getting the man to buy time, and then sliding outside and maybe finding something to work. But on 3rd and 6, if this is the worst case scenario, to buy the field goal and not do anything too outrageous, not a bad play. You just want to see him do that more often when he's buying time and not think that because I've run around halfway across the field that you somehow have to force something to happen. Now the read option, quick play here. Again, this is another example of plays building on themselves. You're going to see that one of the trips men now work inside. After they've established a lot of trip sets, throwouts to one of these trips wide receivers, the running back moving out to the trip side, making fakes off of that running back moving to the trip side. Now you got one of the trip sides guys coming inside, using the run as a play fake, and now throwing the little drag route to this trips receiver. And while it's not a huge gain, again, they continue to build on these basic formation schemes that they're using here. Now the read option fake, you have the defense having to honor this wide receiver looking like he's might be out for a short throw out, but what you end up having is a nice little run up the middle and a slide. And I like the fact that Mariota is good at sliding and protecting himself. He's not trying to be, a huge big play runner. He's really just trying to use his burst, get as much as he can, get the first down or get close to the marker and slide and protect himself. As long as he continues to do this in the NFL, then this is going to be a valuable trait for him. Again, really nice Paul fake here. Sells that extremely well. Huge hole, but he's very decisive. Finishes with the burst. Got to keep seeing that. We want to see, you don't want to see guys getting hurt. This is where, Robert Griffin didn't really know how to do this very well. Michael Vick didn't do this very well in his career. Mariota isn't as explosive as either of those players. He's certainly going to get you 10 to 15 yard gains on a regular basis, but he's not someone that is going to break 40, 50, 60 yard runs once or twice a year, maybe once or twice in his career, but not the type of threat that defenses are going to have to worry about in that regard. You see two edge blitzers coming off the left side with this read option fake. And I like how he stands in the pocket. He knows he's got an open man where the blitz has come. And you see him slide. Quick little slide, just one little step through his throw. And this is a beautiful back shoulder fade that he throws here. Now, it's not in the tightest of coverage, but he also anticipates where it needs to go. He delivers it with confidence. There's a good zip on the throw. And it's perfectly timed. This is what I would call an example of projecting where you could project a tight window throw here. With the pressure, a tight enough pocket here where he's got a body flashing in front of him. He's got one that was just beside him and being able to reach for his non-throwing shoulder and stepping into the throw in the face of pressure and being able to give his receiver room to make an adjustment and do it in stride. Very good play. This is a very NFL-worthy play right here. All right, so now we're going to see a 20 personnel set. Get into a 1st and 25 situation. A little bit of read option. Another pump fake. Notice that pump fake there. And now we're going to see him dropping back, avoiding coverage, or avoiding the pressure here to set up the screen. Nice touch. This is something that he does well. Again, I talked about this earlier in the previous clip, that he is a decent touch passer in the short game, and he gives his runners a chance to make plays in front of their blockers. And that was a really excellent example of that. Let's show it one more time here from the beginning. Play fake, pump fake, drop, nice little touch throw to the outside shoulder so he can turn in upfield, split his blocks, earn a nice gain to set up a 2nd and long, but a manageable 2nd and long. Now we're at 2nd and 11. Another read option fake here and a quick throw. Just nice quick flat route. Sets up a nice short 3rd and short now. That's what you're looking for here, is just efficient management. And I would say that Mariota is more of a game manager than he is a creative player. Now, some people may find that odd because you see him being the Heisman Trophy winner. You see the running plays. You see these wide open passes. But a lot of this is scheme oriented. I think a lot of the scheme creates these big play opportunities for Mariota rather than Mariota creating the big play opportunities after this, based on the scheme not working. Because if he was the creative player, you'd see where the scheme breaks down and him making the most of the situation. A lot of times what I'm seeing is where his big plays come from is really based on him executing the scheme. Now, we did see a couple of plays where he is able to do that, but I would say that he's he's fairly creative, but I wouldn't say he's a dynamically creative player. See him look left, realize that he, not see what he wants there, then look right, have to work away from pressure. And this is creative, obviously, but I'm going to show you why he never should have had to do any of this. Throws the ball downfield, makes a play. It's a nice play. Gets the first down. In fact, the receiver gets another, 10, 12 yards on the play. Really nice result. Process stinks, though, and I'm going to tell you why. Look at this slot left receiver at the left hash. See the coverage. He should be reading this and knowing that his receiver is likely going to come open in the flat. And he stares down this receiver. I don't know what he sees, but right here, he should see that this outside corner is going to take this man that I'm circling with my cursor. Number 20 looks like he is covering this man, or at least over top the slot man. And then number 8 is also over top the slot man. Mariota should know that this slot man is going to run to the flat. He turns just as the man makes his break. Now, unless Mariota is expecting a different route here, and that could be the case, and number 9 is the one who breaks it off, and their communication just wasn't on point, Mariota should have been throwing the ball at the top of the break, at the top of the stem here. Right about here, where he turns his head, he should have been throwing the ball. Instead, he turns back downfield to look for somebody else, misses an easy first down opportunity, and now has to make a much harder play to avoid 2 defenders coming up the middle, throw on the move to find the open man. It works out, but these are the types of situations that you want to see NFL quarterbacks be able to be on the same page with their receivers, and this wasn't one of those plays. Another read option, again, nice placement to that front shoulder. Gets inside the 2, and you're going to see the same play again right after that. It's good play calling. They know it's working. The defense is on its heels with these types of trip sets, and it's very effective. You're going to see Oregon build on this. Now you see a drop, a 3-step drop, decent feet here. Let's show it one more time. A 3-step drop, plants his feet. Now he's going to move up a little bit, slide up with 2 hitch steps, looking towards the left, and then throw that crossing route. It's a nice play. Some people are going to ask, and I've had a Twitter question, earlier, in the evening about Mariota saying, does he go through his progressions or is he just hitting his first read? Well, these trips receivers on the left side, he's reading these guys. Now, we all know that this single right receiver is going to run the shallow cross, and these 3 trips receivers, in one aspect, their role is to clear out this flat so that this little cross, this shallow cross, will come wide open. But Mariota is still looking at these 3 receivers to see if anyone breaks open earlier. And when he doesn't see the breaking open, because again, I'll show you where the coverage is, even though we don't have the all 22, you can make some reasonable deductions here. First, you have this outside man, you have the middle, and you have the inside. Stopping right here. The break here with this inside man looks like this is reasonably well covered. This guy's going deeper, and you already have the outside man went deep and was working back. So we know that this deeper route's going to be well covered. Then you have this inside trips man, and it looks like the linebacker's getting good enough depth on his drop that Mariota sees this, and he doesn't want to wait on these particular deeper throws, and that this shallow throw breaking to the outside isn't going to break open. So at this point, hitches once, hitches twice, just in case that there was anything else coming open, but it doesn't. Nobody falls down. And now it's time to throw the cross. Hits the cross in stride. Very nice play. This is a progression read. That's what you're looking for. He's making decisions, seeing how the play progresses, looking at the different receiver options that he has. Nice job feeding the ball to the belly and pulling it back out, looking to his left, not liking what he sees, so he looks further downfield, climbs the pocket. Once again, nice job there in the pocket, but horrible result. All right. This is one of those things where, again, you can see oftentimes really nice processes here. The movement, the reading, but he either saw his thought he saw his receiver breaking in a different direction, thought that was what was going to happen, and the receiver didn't break in that direction, or he just simply overthrew the route. And if he overthrew the route, I'm going to give you a clue as to why I think he may have overthrown it, because earlier in the game, we talked about how when he sets his feet, sometimes his body doesn't fully get into balance with his feet at first. It's like his feet plant in the ground, and then he hopes his body adjusts. Quick adjustment here to throw. Doesn't fully step through the throw. The ball sails a little bit. Interception. That's the problem a little bit with Mariota, is that balls do sail on him. I think some of that has to do with how much he can step through a throw or how much he rushes his process. Again, perfect technique doesn't always matter. Jake Locker has perfect technique. Sometimes he has horrible accuracy, makes poor decisions, throws balls like that. You can have somebody like Brett Favre or even Jay Cutler at times, even though people complain about Cutler's technique. Or Matthew Stafford's or Tony Romo's, and you can see where they make nice throws off balance, and make good plays on a consistent enough basis that they have been solid starters in the NFL, with the exception of Cutler this year. All right, so now you're going to have another receiver working over to this trip side. Set that up, again using the read option here. Quick throw outside. We're going to see how this sets up even though it's dropped. Nice little step. See, there you go. Nice little step up. Nothing fancy, but a nice, nice fake. Looks downfield. Little step to keep his feet set. Steps through the throw. In stride. Now, this is a nice big play. We haven't seen any real vertical plays in this game yet, and we're not going to see them in this game. But we're going to see at least a couple of throws where you can project, at least one, where you can project whether he has the arm strength. Here we go again with this outside throw. Doesn't get a lot of yards here, but again, it's going to set up a little bit more here. This was the 2 plays ago where he steps up, throws the ball into this wide open space. And some people might ask, this is where overanalysis can come into play, especially if you're new at analyzing a game and you see the all 22 like this, or at least an end zone view that shows you everybody. Let's pick this apart for a moment. You're going to see this read option, and you're going to see that basically you have a receiver on the right side going up the seam, and he's going to have this inside position here. In theory, you could say Mariota is going to try to squeeze this ball further downfield under this safety and inside this cornerback. Now, certainly we've seen quarterbacks make that choice, and it's an okay choice. If you are that good, that pinpoint accurate, you could do that. You could also see if there's anything that's open over on the left side here, depending on what the order of your progression is or what you're looking for from the safety. Now, the safety's wide enough here that it's probably not going to be the best route unless you see this route break open to the outside, but he knows this route is breaking over. Looks like it's going to break open to the inside. So he's not even going to be targeting this area of the play. But if we go back one more click of the frame here, why are you going to try and take the chance to squeeze under a safety on a down and distance situation where if you're patient enough, you're going to get this shallow cross wide open under this safety, and he's going to gain enough yards that it's almost going to approximate this throw here with much less difficulty. Makes the catch. Outside receiver runs off this corner, and you get another 10, 15 yards on this play. Very nice. All right, so now we're going to get some more motion, a little read option, move to the left here. And this is where Mariota is going to make plays for an offense like Chip Kelly's if he gets to play in an offense like this. You're going to see where you get all this movement, you get the read option, you get the sprint left motion, then you get him stopping and cutting inside of his tackle, pressing the field so that he forces these shallow coverage defenders to come up and then throw it over their heads and behind them for a quick pass for a first down and more yards after that. Very nice play. This is, how Mariota will use his legs to manipulate coverage. Then you're going to see more read options, sprint right this time, quick throw outside to the flat. This play is going to set up a touchdown. Let's show it one more time just so that you get a chance to see what it is that they do here. Just went to the tight end earlier. They're going to go to the same tight end again from the slot. Quick flat route. Off the sprint right action. Here we go again. Read option. Look at that. Got the flat route coming open on the right side from the same tight end he's hit twice before. Of course, the defense on the outside and on the inside here from the slot are going to react to this. And Mariota's counting on that to happen. And once he sees them bite, he throws it over their heads, leads the outside receiver inside and under the defensive back, and we're looking at a long touchdown. Really nice play set up here. It's good execution from Mariota. He deserves a lot of credit for his patience and for executing the play so that he's looking off this the shallow zone here. And there's the setup play. Now you're going to see the actual touchdown. And then just throws it over their head. And nice job leading the player inside here. May not be a tight window throw, but he's making the most of the target that he needs to here. And that's what you would expect in this situation. Very nice play from Mariota. All right, here we go. We're going to see another setup here. Get the read option, quick throw. We've been seeing this all game long, and see breaks off a nice chunk of yards for a first down. They're gashing the outside of this defense. So what do they do next? Read option, pump fake to the outside receiver here. Now they're going to go deep. You get what is about a 25, 26-yard throw, thrown with a nice trajectory just under the safety here, which gives the wide receiver room to cut underneath and get the final 5 yards for the touchdown here. This is, again, why I say that Mariota is a good manager of this offense, but not necessarily an unbelievably dynamic playmaker. He's doing the little things that you would expect, just the way that maybe Mark Sanchez did in Pete Carroll's West Coast offense. Lots of pump fakes, play fakes, little rolls and boots, being able to execute the short game and let the big play receivers and big play men on, with the ball make the big gains. And I think you see the same thing in Chip Kelly's offense, and you saw Mark Sanchez do the same thing this past year with a certain amount of success. You're seeing the same thing in this particular play in this particular game. Now watch this throw. Nice setup, steps through. He isn't fully stepping through in the way where the back foot is really coming across to the level where that you could see maybe he could throw this ball 30, 40 yards if he needed to, if he really put his hips and his legs into it. So I think that he has the arm strength to hit 40, 50-yard throws, even though I haven't seen them in a couple of games that I've studied really hard. But I think that we're going to see some evidence of it in some of his tape. If not, it'll be in the workouts. Now the read option, and this is a touchdown where you're going to see the read option fake inside. You're going to see him take it inside out, a little bit of a fake pitch to this outside man, which forces the perimeter defender to account for it and allows Mariota to cut inside and get upfield. Again, this is play design coupled with good athleticism and execution from Mariota's standpoint. But this isn't a guy who's beating the edge all on his own. If this man wasn't here and he's beating this edge through his strength, through his agility and his speed, then we're talking about a higher level of dynamic creativity. Here we're talking about trickery, defender caught in a situation where he has to account for the outside man, and Mariota winning off of that. So that's the portion of the Mariota broadcast that you probably missed because of my volume snafu from last night. Once again, you can tune into the rest of the program at the 1:16 mark, 1 hour, 16-minute mark, and see the plays that I show of Russell Wilson and answer the questions that I did from Twitter about Marcus Mariota's game. So go ahead and go back to that section, and I'll have this posted on the blog very soon.